In the fall of 1934, the disappearance of Olga Mauger, a 21-year-old bride on her honeymoon, captivated the public's attention and remains one of Wyoming's most enduring mysteries. This case, still unsolved nearly 90 years later, stands as the oldest and coldest missing persons case in Wyoming. On September 17, 1934, Olga, a skilled outdoorswoman familiar with the wilderness, was on a hunting honeymoon with her new husband, Carl Mauger. The couple had been married for less than a week. They were hiking in the area above Angle's Camp, now known as Togwotee Mountain Lodge, on the sixth day of their adventure. Olga, a native of Lead, South Dakota, born to parents of German ancestry from eastern Russia, had grown up hunting and fishing in the region. Her knowledge of the terrain was well established, debunking rumors that she was a descendant of the local mountain legend, Beaver Dick Lee. During their hike, Carl suggested climbing a small hill to scout for elk. Olga, unexpectedly, opted to stay behind, citing tiredness, a surprising decision given her love for the outdoors. She remained seated on a rock within hearing distance of passing cars on Togwotee Pass Road. Dressed in tan breeches, a blue shirt, a gray pullover sweater, high-laced boots, and carrying a small hatchet and a bag of sandwiches. When Carl returned approximately 20 minutes later, Olga had vanished without a trace. Conflicting reports either mention an empty sandwich bag left behind or state that not even tracks were found. Carl's frantic search for her yielded no results. A massive search operation ensued, involving over 300 men, including civilian Conservation Corps members, game wardens, Teton County Sheriff Yaw Francis, and expert trackers from the Washakie Indian tribe with bloodhounds. Despite this extensive effort, which was hampered by an early-season snowstorm and eventually discontinued due to other pressing duties of the searchers, no trace of Olga was ever found. This mysterious case was further complicated by Olga's personal life. Prior to marrying Carl, she was involved in a whirlwind romance that began at a dance, leaving Carl's long-term girlfriend, Ella T. Catch, heartbroken. Olga's sister, Edith Thompson, later revealed that Olga regretted the marriage almost immediately and seemed deeply unhappy before her disappearance. Thompson speculated that Olga might have intentionally left to start a new life, given her skills as a stenographer, and the $30 she had with her. However, no communication from Olga ever reached her family. 7 years after her disappearance, Carl obtained a divorce and remarried Ella T. Catch. The mystery of what happened to Olga Schultz Mauger, whether it was an accident, a deliberate disappearance, or something more sinister, remains unsolved, a question that continues to haunt the rugged wilderness of Wyoming. The romance between Olga Schultz and Carl Mauger was as swift as it was captivating. In the summer of 1934, Olga, a 21-year-old redhead with a passion for the outdoors, met Carl Mauger, a handsome oilman from Wyoming. Their connection was immediate and intense, leading to a wedding just a few weeks after they first met. Carl had been living in Midwest Wyoming, where he was involved in a long-term relationship with Ella T. Catch for about 5 or 6 years. Despite Ella's eagerness to marry, Carl delayed, citing financial instability as a reason. This relationship was dramatically altered when Carl met Olga at a dance they both attended. Struck by her beauty, Carl was instantly smitten, leading to the end of his relationship with Ella and the beginning of his whirlwind romance with Olga. The rapid progression of their relationship led to their wedding on September 11, 1934, in Harrison, Nebraska. However, this sudden marriage was not without its complications. Ella, deeply hurt, reportedly sent a letter threatening suicide after Carl and Olga's marriage. Olga's sister, Edith Thompson, later claimed that Olga immediately regretted her hasty marriage. Edith recalled Olga's sad expression while packing for the honeymoon, contrasting sharply with the joy typically associated with newlyweds. This regret was further complicated by the letter from Ella, which deeply affected Olga. Edith speculated that Olga might have used the honeymoon as an opportunity to escape a marriage she regretted. This theory was supported by the fact that Olga had invited her sister to join them on the honeymoon, an unusual request for what is typically a private getaway for the newly married couple. The possibility that Olga might have intentionally disappeared during the trip, using her knowledge of the mountainous area to slip away, was a topic of speculation among those who knew her. Others, however, speculated that Carl might have played a role in Olga's disappearance. Given his abrupt shift from a long-term relationship with Ella to a sudden marriage with Olga, some believe Carl might have recognized a mistake and taken drastic action while in the isolated wilderness. These theories, while varied, underscore the complexity and rapid progression of Olga and Carl's relationship, elements that add layers of intrigue and mystery to the already baffling case of Olga Mauger's disappearance. Olga Schultz and Carl Mauger's honeymoon in September 1934 was set against the rugged and picturesque backdrop of Togwotee Pass in Wyoming. A natural haven for an outdoors enthusiast like Olga, the couple chose to spend their honeymoon elk hunting, a pastime well suited to Olga's skills and interests. She had spent her life immersed in outdoor activities such as hunting, fishing, and hiking, making the wilderness a familiar and beloved setting for her. The Maugers set up their camp at Togwotee Pass, about 40 miles west of Dubois, Wyoming. On September 17th, 6 days into their honeymoon, a seemingly ordinary decision led to a mystery that endures to this day. After hiking for miles above Engel's camp, the couple stopped to rest. Carl suggested they climb a small hill to scout for elk. In a surprising turn, Olga, usually enthusiastic about such activities, expressed fatigue and chose to remain seated on a rock while Carl went ahead. This deviation from her typical adventurous spirit was unexpected, and Carl, upon noticing her decision, found it strange. Olga was last seen sitting on a rock within hearing distance of passing cars on Togwotee Pass Road. She was dressed appropriately for the setting in tan breeches and high-laced boots, equipped with a small hatchet and carrying a bag of sandwiches. Carl, upon his return after an estimated 20 minutes, found Olga missing. No trace of her remained at the spot. Not even tracks. Some reports suggest that an empty bag of sandwiches was found, but there are no other clues to what had happened. Carl's frantic search and calls for Olga yielded no response, marking the beginning of a disappearance that would soon evolve into one of Wyoming's most baffling cases. The absence of any clues or tracks in a territory Olga knew well added to the mystery of her sudden disappearance. Despite extensive search efforts, Olga Mauger had vanished, leaving behind a trail of questions and theories, but no concrete answers. Her disappearance on that fall day in 1934 remains an enigma, a cold case that has endured for decades as Wyoming's oldest and most perplexing missing persons case. The disappearance of Olga Mauger triggered an extensive and thorough search operation that remains one of the most significant in Wyoming's history. After Olga was reported missing, Ranger Casey Sonny Allen coordinated a massive search party that included more than 300 individuals. This group comprised dozens of civilian Conservation Corps members working nearby, game wardens, private citizens, Teton County Sheriff Yaw Francis of Jackson, and about 20 Washakie Indians, known for their expertise in tracking. These expert trackers were supplied with bloodhounds, and together they scoured the area where Olga was last seen, leaving no stone unturned. Despite the sizable number of searchers and the use of bloodhounds, the search party found no trace of Olga. They thoroughly examined the area where the couple had been hiking and the spot near Togwotee Pass where they had camped. The searchers looked for the smallest sign of the missing woman, her clothing, her little hatchet, her bag of sandwiches, or any indication of a struggle or injury, but none was ever found. This comprehensive search included both the immediate vicinity and the broader area around Togwotee Pass. Complicating the search efforts was an early-season snowstorm that swept through the area, significantly hindering the operation. The snowstorm not only made the terrain more challenging to navigate but also obscured potential tracks or other clues that might have led to Olga. Despite the initial setback caused by the weather, the search continued sporadically for over a year. However, the snowstorm's impact was significant, leading to County Attorney Wilford W. Nielsen expressing little hope of finding Olga due to the adverse weather conditions. The search for Olga Mauger eventually had to be discontinued, with officials citing the lack of available men who were busy with other duties such as working in hay fields or fighting forest fires. Despite the unprecedented scale of the search efforts and the involvement of numerous skilled individuals and resources, no clues or evidence were found to explain Olga's mysterious disappearance. Even years later, hunters in the area kept an eye out for any sign of Olga or evidence of what might have happened to her, but to this day, her disappearance remains an unsolved mystery. In the wake of Olga Mauger's mysterious disappearance, suspicion naturally fell on her husband, Carl Mauger. Carl's past, particularly his long-term relationship with another woman before his impulsive marriage to Olga, fueled these suspicions. Many speculated that he might have realized a mistake in marrying Olga and thus played a role in her disappearance. These theories were compounded by the nature of their quick marriage and the abrupt end to his previous relationship. Carl was held in custody for 2 months as authorities conducted repeated interrogations. Despite the suspicions and intensive questioning, Carl's account of events remained consistent. He consistently maintained his innocence throughout the interrogations. The county attorney, Wilford W. Nielsen, even questioned Carl about a potential previous criminal record, asking if he was the same Carl J. Major wanted in Denver on a charge of larceny as Bailey. However, this line of inquiry led nowhere, and Carl was eventually cleared of suspicion. Ultimately, Carl was released in the technical custody of his brother-in-law, Fred Schultz. Despite the cloud of suspicion that hung over him during the initial stages of the investigation, the lack of concrete evidence or inconsistency in his story led to his release and the clearing of his name. This release, however, did not bring any closer to the mystery of what happened to Olga, leaving Carl as a presumed widower, a role he continued to embody even as he returned the following year with Olga's brothers to continue the search for his lost bride. The disappearance of Olga Mauger has given rise to various theories, none of which have been conclusively proven due to the lack of physical evidence. Accidental fall. One possibility is that Olga suffered a fatal accident in the rugged, mountainous terrain, potentially falling into a ravine or gulch. However, this theory is challenged by the fact that she vanished in a small area that was thoroughly searched. Despite extensive searches, no traces or evidence of such an accident were found. Voluntary disappearance. Another theory suggests that Olga left voluntarily, possibly realizing that she had made a mistake in marrying Carl. This theory is supported by her knowledge of the area and her ability to navigate the terrain. It's speculated that she might have made her way to a nearby highway to start a new life elsewhere. Olga was a skilled stenographer and had $30 in cash when she disappeared, which could have aided in her starting anew. However, this theory doesn't explain why she never contacted her family or friends afterward. Foul play. The possibility of foul play has also been considered. Some speculate that Olga might have been a victim of an unknown perpetrator or even a target of her husband, Carl. However, there was no evidence to support these claims, and Carl was eventually cleared of suspicion after consistent accounts and lack of evidence against him. Olga's familiarity with the terrain makes the lack of any physical evidence even more perplexing. If it had been an accident, her skills and knowledge of the area would likely have prevented her from falling into unseen dangers. The absence of any physical evidence or clues has only deepened the mystery surrounding her disappearance, leaving these theories as speculative and unconfirmed. Olga Mauger's sudden disappearance was surrounded by indications of her deep regret over her rushed marriage to Carl Mauger and her troubled emotional state. Regret over marriage. Olga's sister, Edith Thompson, revealed that Olga seemed to regret her marriage almost immediately. This regret was evident from her demeanor and expressions, particularly while she was packing for her honeymoon. Olga's sadness was so palpable that it prompted her to ask her sister to accompany them on their honeymoon, an unusual request for a newlywed. Edith noted that Olga's expression was terribly sad, uncharacteristic of a joyful new bride. Voluntary disappearance. Edith Thompson speculated that Olga might have used the opportunity of the honeymoon to leave voluntarily. She believed that Olga, recognizing her mistake in marrying Carl, possibly planned to escape the situation. This theory was supported by Olga's ability to start over, given her skills as a stenographer and the $30 cash she had at the time of her disappearance. Edith expected to receive a letter from Olga explaining her actions, but such a letter never arrived. Emotional turmoil and suicidal thoughts. Adding complexity to Olga's emotional state was the presence of a letter from Ella Tkach, Carl's former girlfriend. The letter, which contained a threat of suicide, deeply affected Olga. There were also claims that Olga had written to Ella expressing her own suicidal thoughts due to guilt over her relationship with Carl. This emotional turmoil could have contributed significantly to Olga's state of mind before her disappearance, potentially influencing her actions. These factors paint a picture of a woman grappling with rapid life changes, deep regret, and emotional distress. Olga's disappearance, under these circumstances, could be seen through the lens of her seeking an escape from a situation she found overwhelming. However, the lack of concrete evidence leaves these as speculative motives, adding layers to the mystery of what really happened to Olga Mauger. The years following Olga Mauger's disappearance were transformative for Carl Mauger. The cloud of suspicion that initially hovered over him eventually cleared, and he found himself grappling with the reality of being a presumed widower. His life after Olga's mysterious vanishing was marked by both personal challenges and significant development. About 7 years after Olga's disappearance, in a twist that added another layer to the already complex story, Carl rekindled his relationship with Ella Tkach, his former long-term girlfriend whom he had left for Olga. Their reunion eventually led to marriage. This development raised eyebrows and fueled further speculation about the nature of Carl's relationships with both women and his possible role in Olga's disappearance. Despite the lack of evidence linking him to any wrongdoing, Carl's life after remarrying Ella was relatively low-key. He stayed away from the limelight and rarely spoke publicly about Olga's case. His reconnection with Ella suggested a return to his past, perhaps seeking comfort and familiarity after the tumultuous and tragic chapter with Olga. This part of Carl's life is less documented, indicating either a desire for privacy or an attempt to move beyond the shadow of Olga's disappearance. The enduring mystery of what happened to Olga continued to hang over Carl's life, even as he tried to move forward. His decision to marry Ella Tkach, the woman he had originally intended to marry before his whirlwind romance with Olga, added an intriguing twist to the story. However, without further evidence or revelations, the true impact of Olga's disappearance on Carl's life remains as much a mystery as her fate. The disappearance of Olga Mauger has endured as a deep and enduring mystery, with no substantial leads or new evidence emerging over the years. This case is steeped in the kind of intrigue and unanswered questions that continue to fascinate and perplex both the public and investigators alike. As of now, it stands as the oldest missing person case in Wyoming's records, a testament to its enduring mystery and the challenges in solving such cold cases. The lack of closure in Olga's case has left a haunting legacy, not only for those directly involved but also for the community. Regarding my personal take on the case, it's a complex web of possibilities. Given Olga's familiarity with the outdoors and the extensive search efforts that yielded no results, the theory of an accidental fall seems less likely. Her reported unhappiness in her marriage and the quick, impulsive nature of her relationship with Carl could suggest a voluntary disappearance. However, the complete lack of communication with her family or friends post-disappearance makes this theory also difficult to confirm. Foul play, while a possibility, lacks concrete evidence, especially considering Carl's consistent account and eventual clearing of suspicion. The societal and cultural norms of the 1930s, particularly the attitudes towards quick marriages and the roles of women, add another layer to the mystery. The rapidity of Olga's marriage to Carl, her immediate regret, and her emotional turmoil reflect the societal pressures and limited options women faced during that time. It's possible that these factors played a significant role in whatever decision or circumstance led to her disappearance. Ultimately, the case of Olga Mauger is a poignant reminder of the limitations of investigative techniques of the era and the societal norms that could have influenced the lives and choices of individuals at the time. The true story of what happened to Olga may never be known, leaving us with a haunting and unresolved mystery. As we come to the close of this perplexing tale, I turn to you, my viewers. The story of Olga Mauger is laden with questions and theories, but no concrete answers. What do you think happened to her? Your perspectives and theories are an integral part of unraveling this enduring mystery. I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you lean towards an accident, a voluntary disappearance, or do you suspect foul play? Perhaps you have a completely different theory altogether. Let's engage in a discussion about the various aspects of this case. What do you find most intriguing? Is it the rapid and regrettable? In summary, the disappearance of Olga Mauger remains one of Wyoming's most enduring mysteries. A young woman vanishes without a trace during her honeymoon, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and speculation. Despite extensive search efforts, no evidence has ever been found to explain her disappearance. The rapid romance and marriage to Carl, her immediate regret, the backdrop of societal norms of the 1930s, and the lack of conclusive evidence make this case a captivating enigma. As we reflect on Olga's story, it's a poignant reminder of the mysteries that remain unsolved in our history. It highlights the limitations of investigative methods of the past and the societal pressures that shaped individuals' lives. Olga Mauger's disappearance continues to intrigue and mystify, securing its place in the annals of true crime history. It's a story that challenges us to ponder, speculate, and perhaps hope that one day the truth might emerge.